Is AEW adding a third hour to Dynamite? We're going to talk about that plus so much more right here on The Ango Show. Yes. Hey guys, just a quick reminder, don't forget The Ango Show is now live Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, it is available for VOD after it airs. But hey, we're going to be talking about Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, pay-per-views, all that good stuff on a daily basis. And in addition to that, we're going to talk about the things that you guys want to talk about. We're trying to have the most engaging chat. So if you guys are interested, make sure you pull up. Again, it's live Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern. And hopefully I can see you guys there. I want to kick things off with Rev Pro and WWE. They were close to a partnership at a time where WWE was partnering with indie companies. WWE worked with Evolve. They worked with ICW. They worked with Progress Pro Wrestling. However, a deal with Rev Pro fell through, and Andy Quilden, the guy who leads Rev Pro Wrestling, he explains why. He spoke with Marcus Groneman, and he says that there were discussions with WWE, and the negotiations never advanced to the point where there was actual formal offers. But a significant reason for this was because WWE's proposal included an option for Rev Pro at the end of their agreement to be purchased by the WWE. And it's not that WWE was looking at purchasing their content, it was WWE looking at purchasing the company. And that right there is a big red flag, and it's a big no-no. And it obviously makes a lot of sense that Rev Pro would turn down that deal and not explore further offers. Now, one thing that really needs to be said here was this was WWE prior to TKO. So this is when WWE brought in ICW and Progress and all these other companies. They brought in WXW. They brought them in, and obviously the content was distributed to the network. But WWE, you know, at that time, a lot of people questioned, they're like, why is WWE trying to do this? Why are they trying to partner up with other companies? We saw WWE launch NXT UK, which in hindsight, I mean, all of this technically is considered a failure, right? NXT UK is gone. WWE has not launched NXT Europe. The content's no longer on the network. It just seems like at that time, WWE was being a money-hungry business. And obviously, that's what businesses do, and that's what big corporations do. But if you look at WWE and TKO today, it obviously could have been a little bit different. It's very interesting to see that this deal fell through, but quite honestly, I'm not shocked. You know, Andy Quilden says it wasn't a matter of not even wanting to work with WWE. It was really just a matter of not having like a safety blanket for the future. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. WWE could have bought the company. People could have been laid off. People could have lost their jobs. That's a problem in itself. And that's why they decided not to do it. But Rev Pro is great. I mean, especially these days, I think it is the premier wrestling promotion out in Europe. And that's a really good thing. So who knows how differently things would have looked if they did sign with WWE. TNA has a new signing, and this is actually where it gets pretty interesting. When we talk about TNA and the way that they do deals, this is one that we should be discussing. Stephanie DeLander actually spoke with Pro Wrestling Illustrated and has confirmed that she has now signed a deal with TNA. Initially, her agreement with the company was a per-date arrangement, and she was only scheduled for a few dates, and now this arrangement has been extended through 2024. And she has agreed to fulfill the remaining dates for the rest of the year. So look, here's the cool thing, right? Like TNA, obviously it's a company that isn't as big as AEW. It's not as big as WWE, right? We know this. We see this firsthand. They're a little bit smaller. But the beauty of this is that Stephanie DeLander has now been put in a situation where she doesn't have to be, you know, working 1,000 dates. Obviously that's exaggerative, but she hasn't had to work 1,000 dates. She doesn't have to be restricted to a company. She has the ability to be on TV. She has the ability to do indie stuff. She could kind of do whatever the hell she wants. And now there is a little bit more of a commitment from TNA and from her to make sure that this goes well for the long term. And I think that's always a good thing. I do want to point this out though, and this is really the main purpose of why we're talking about this. Per appearance deals, I feel like tend to be really risky for a company like TNA because of the fact that we know per appearance, obviously, you know, there's less commitment, it's less money, and there are benefits to it. But I think the biggest risk is that You can have somebody get over in your company and then they eventually leave you. And this is something that TNA has actually had an issue with. As much as I love TNA and I praise TNA for the way they operate and the way that they produce their content and their storylines, one of the big things is that there is less long-term agreements with people for those in TNA. And I think that is problematic. Stephanie DeLander has a great storyline, obviously, with PCO, and it's led to some great content. Steph DeLander is somebody who's actually talented in the ring, and she's actually talented on the microphone. She came from WWE NXT. She wasn't given an opportunity in NXT. She goes to the Indies, works with Matt Cardona and GCW, goes to TNA, works with Cardona and PCO, and it has some great benefits. But for TNA, there's really no long-term benefit for this because it's just happening right now. It's happening real time. And I think that is an issue that I see with these per appearance deals. It is very hard for TNA to monetarily invest in Steph DeLander or any other talent for that matter that are signing these per appearance deals. It's one of the things that I don't like about professional wrestling. We are seeing it a lot more in the smaller companies, and it's great that there's a place to work. However, I do think that would be something that should be changed overall in the future. I want to turn our attention to AEW Dynamite. BJ Bethel, we all know that we've spoken about some stuff from BJ before. He's a journalist, part of the Chicago Tribune, Washington Post, definitely an experienced journalist. Responding to Andrew Zarian's newest episode of his show on Fightful, BJ Bethel says, "I've heard there's another hour of AEW content coming as a possibility. I don't know if that survives lawyering and whatever. The longer it takes to lawyer, more likely streaming. Pay-per-views, library are on Max because that just takes longer to negotiate versus TVs." Guys, this is the situation that we're currently in, and I want to talk about it. We are in a situation where AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery, they are getting close to announcing their new TV deal. And the cool thing about this is that there's going to be a lot of changes to it. But if AEW adds a third hour to Dynamite, is that an improvement? Is it not an improvement? Instead of adding a third hour to Dynamite, is this AEW basically being requested from Warner Bros. Discovery to go and... is this something that Warner Bros. Wants to give them more money, but they want more content from AEW? Maybe the extra hour is a reality show. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's something for TBS or True TV or TNT Sports, whatever. What is the situation here? I don't know, but clearly Warner Bros. Discovery wants an extra hour of AEW in some capacity. As a fan of pro wrestling, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, and I know this is not going to be the popular opinion, and I'm totally okay with that. I would much rather see an hour added to Dynamite than an hour added for a reality show or some scripted series or some bullshit like that. That's my opinion. Dynamite could benefit from a third hour. There's a lot of talent not being utilized. More TV time helps that. I would also suggest that they get rid of... I would suggest that they get rid of Rampage and maybe add an extra hour to Collision. I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion, but that's the way I see it. Obviously, things are looking good between Warner and AEW. I'll keep you guys updated as long as we keep getting more updates. So with that being said, thank you for watching.